Stacy's Reflections from the Farm. I frequently get a lot of questions about why I normally do not take my animals off the farm. I know a number of people were wondering why it wasn't my animals at Augustana's live nativity. The simplest answer is because we don't have a trailer big enough to handle 2 llamas, a mini horse, mini donkey, and 5 goats, not to mention all the chickens. You see, my crew sees themselves as a united herd, and they get very anxious when one or more gets separated from the family. Even though they see themselves as one, they are all individuals with different personalities. These differences cause all kinds of disagreements and chaos. Terry and Tammy, my llamas, have always gotten along reasonably well. They were raised at the same farm where my breeder is, but they were separated. The boys were together and the girls were together. Terry is a very mellow male who was planned to be a stud, but he really didn't have the personality. He is very observant, and he definitely talks with his eyes. Once the gate between the horse barn and the goat barn bounced open. Terry stood guarding the entrance so no one went where they weren't supposed to be. When I got back to the gate with the feed, he gave me that "you idiot" look. Terry has been a gentle older brother to young Johnny. However, Terry is not a saint. He is the first to spit at Tammy when she threatens the boundaries surrounding his food. Tammy is younger, she's more inquisitive, and will probably be more assertive than Terry. She is a playmate with the goats and frequently sleeps with Johnny and Emma and is closed in the barn when we hit this terrible cold. Tammy has yet to learn that spitting on goats doesn't usually affect them. That's probably because when she spits on Johnny, he cries and whines and screams until I come and take a look at Tammy and tell her that she's not to spit on her brother and that this is not appropriate barn behavior. Emma has lived each of life's cycles. She came with Clarence, and they had about 1 month of bottle feeding left. Clarence was her soulmate, and they grew up together. However, Emma has always adapted to all the other animals on the farm, making them part of her family. Even though she wasn't a mother, she was a great mother to Johnny. And even now, she gives him a good shove to put him in his place. She has mostly been really sweet, but still, if her food doesn't come fast enough, she incessantly butts on her enclosure. Emma has chosen to be part of whatever herd she has been given. Isabel and her sister were intended as my only new goat additions. Because they were nursing, I visited them at the breeders weekly. Isabel had traditional coloring, with the exception of a cute little dark heart right above her shoulder blades. Her sister was a beautiful brown with interesting white markings. Isabel was aloof, while her sister was friendly and cuddly. Then about 6 weeks before I could take them home, Izzy's sister was stolen. Isabel never left her mother's side after that and became more isolated. When it came time for the young goats to leave the breeder's farm, my breeder asked if I still wanted Izzy. I decided to take her and have been very glad that I did. Izzy quickly became bonded to me, and is one of the friendliest animals on the farm. She is, however, assertive and concerned that everyone else's food is better than hers. She spends most of her time pushing others out of their food. Izzy is the one that gets hollered at the most. She is jealous of Johnny and frequently chases him and gives him a good hard butt. Yet, when Johnny got his head stuck in the feed bunk, she stood by his side and called for me. She actually looked genuinely concerned. Izzy is at times hard to love, and at other times impossible not to love. Ike and Yvonne are brother and sister. They were part of triplets. Ike is very laid back and basically is only concerned about his food. He attacks his hay with a single-minded vengeance, adding a unique grunting noise. He is oblivious to everything else when eating. He is gentle when cuddled and enjoys having his nose kissed. He tolerates Johnny, and often the boys stick together. Yvonne is similar to Izzy. She chases others off their food piles and fights Izzy to lick out everyone's bowl. Yvonne has the loudest and most obnoxious bellow, which she starts 1/2 hour prior to every evening feed. She loves to stand on top of the playground so that I can sit and pet her. She is the first to run to Emma's side if she thinks something is wrong with Emma, but also the first to keep Emma in her place as the old lady by pushing her out of the way. Ike and Yvonne have a strong sibling bond, but they frequently allow Izzy to join their family. Johnny, as the smallest and youngest, occupies the lowest rung of the herd's hierarchy. He gets pushed out of all feeding areas, is bullied when everyone awaits their food, yet he is looked after and reprimanded if he is in the wrong place. Johnny isn't quiet during this abuse. He whines incessantly. Of course, this brings me running to his rescue. It will be interesting once he is full grown if his position in the herd changes. Catherine and Pal came from the same farm. They spent 7 years together with other horses, and they weren't friends. Catherine is a princess. She is marish and has an attitude. She pushes Pal around, whips her head, and bucks. All of these antics become quite adorable when you realize that she doesn't want to hurt anyone. She is actually very well behaved. She's very personable, and she loves people. Pal is intuitive, wary, and very smart. She has been slow to accept my affection, but has now definitely become my little pal. Pal and Catherine have also become good friends. They have to see each other constantly, otherwise they become anxious. Once Catherine pushed through the gate and entered the yard. She quickly maneuvered herself around the barn to a patch of grass where she could munch but still see Pal. Now they frequently eat together and even scratch each other's backs. I find it interesting that these lower cognitive functioning animals can understand that unity or oneness can happen even with all their differences, no matter their difference in species or personalities. They have chosen to be one united herd. We struggle with this concept as humans. Many believe that to be united means We have to have the same religious, political, and social beliefs, and that anyone that believes differently is wrong. Now, we all know that God created us in His image, but why then are we so different? What if God actually embraces difference? And what if seeing ourselves as unified and as one is actually just a choice? My critters have seemed to figure this out. Why is it us humans can't figure it out?